Hello there friends, and welcome to this video about variables, and I hope this will become a regular series with well, I guess somewhat irregular uploads. But this series I want to talk about um, programming basics, the fundamentals, not so much details about how to do certain things in a certain language. Just overall basics. What is a variable? What is an object? What's an array? And so on. And you will notice if you know the basics, if you know the fundamentals, it's much easier to switch languages and learn new languages because the fundamentals are the same. It's just the syntax might be a little bit different from language to language. So if you know what a variable is, for example, then you're gonna know how to use a variable in JavaScript or PHP or Python. So in this video, we are going to look at variables, and we're also gonna look at how to use these variables in JavaScript, PHP, and Python. Just gonna use some very simple examples. All right, so what is a variable? Well, a variable is used to store data or information, and it's a good way to name and organize your data, to structure your data. And we can reference the data later. So for example, if you have a variable, you can reference that variable later in a function, for example. All right, and names for variables should be descriptive, should also be understandable to others. So if someone else comes over, takes over your project, they should be able to read and understand what this variable does. Okay, so good naming is difficult, so take your time. And different languages have different ways how to call a variable. But we will look at through three different examples. So the basis of a variable is similar. So you have the name of a variable and the equal sign, and then the value. Okay, so you use the equal sign to assign a value. So that's pretty straightforward. And variables can be local or global. A local variable is declared inside a function or a block, and it can only be accessed inside that block or function. However, a global variable is declared outside a function. So all scripts and functions can access it. And local variables are deleted when the function is completed. Okay, so when the function is completed, you can't call it again. Then the global variable are deleted when you close the browser or the tab. All right, so that's the difference. So that's a little overview of variables. So let's dig in a little bit deeper, and let's take a look at some examples. So let's first start with JavaScript. Okay, so I have a simple index.html file here. So I'm gonna do all the JavaScript in here. So I have VS Code and Emmet installed. So I'm just doing exclamation mark and tab, and I got all this nicely set up for me. So I'm just gonna change the title to just variables like that. All right, and then I am just gonna put in a body tag. I'm just gonna put in a simple p tag with an ID of not class, an ID of demo. Hit tab, and that's it. Now let's have a look at the JavaScript. Okay, so let's first do a script tag like this. And this is an inline script here, so I'm just gonna hit tab. Then let's go down here and let's have a look at some examples here. So in JavaScript, you can declare a variable either by putting var, then the name of the variable equals value. Okay, and you don't need to put a semicolon at the end. If you go down to the next line, there's no need for a semicolon. But if you want to put something else after here, you need a semicolon. So I'm just going to put a semicolon there. Or instead of var, you can have let, like this, let or var. There's a slight difference between var and let. So real simplified, var is more for a global scope, and let is a more for a local block scope. I'm not going to go through the main differences here because it's not a video about JavaScript. It's more a video about variables. So you can see, you just have a quick look, see what it's like. Okay, or you don't even need var or let. You can just do this. Then this is the same. All right, and then it must start with a letter, capital A to Z, or a non-capitalized A to Z, an underscore, or a dollar sign. So, for example, if we just go back here, I'm gonna put var, and you can put either car and then value blue, or you could do another, just call it var and capitalize it, equals white. Now, it's a difference between a capitalized and non-capitalized name. They're case sensitive. So these two are actually two different variables. I'm gonna look at it a little bit later, but these are two different variables. And you can also start a variable with an underscore, like this. So if you let this variable be, for example, house, and let's make it equal big, you can use either semicolon or no, sorry, not semicolon, single quotes or double quotes for strings. So I'm just gonna use big like this, or you could use a dollar sign. So if we have let dollar sign house equals big, like this. Or you can just, as I said, you can scrap var or let you and just put house like this. All right, so that would also work. Okay. Now, if the incorrect way to put a to declare a variable, you can't use numbers. So, for example, just make a comment here: incorrect variables. So you can't use a number. So you can't start with 100 equals x, for example. That will throw an error if you call it. Or you can't use other signs or characters. So for example, you can't use a percentage sign like this. 100 like this equals 35, for example. All right, this will also throw a an error. Okay, so only letters or underscore or a dollar sign is acceptable in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to delete all these up here, and let's have a look at how to output a variable. So a variable output variable in JavaScript can do this different ways. I'm going to use document.write. So in this example, let's use variable. I'm going to use variable color, and the color is blue. Like this. And also a size for size equals, and this one is big. Okay, so now how to output this? So I'm going to use document.write. So document.write, then a string, my car is, then to add, just use the plus sign, size, then and, then to another plus sign, color, and semicolon at the end. Now I have live server installed as an extension. So if I right click and I open with live server, this document here, once you save it, it will update the page automatically. So I will just do that and open up here. And here you can see, I'm just gonna make sure so we can use both here. Excuse me. All right, so we have, yeah, my car is a variable size, which is big, and we get the variable color, which is blue. Now, if I change the value here and save, it will save here as well, right? So the color is now red, and I can save this one to small, save it, and it will update automatically, right? So that's how you output a variable, simplified, very simplified. So that's that. Now let's have a look at the global and local variables. So first, let's take a look at the local variable. So just put in a comment here. Local variable. Okay, so remember, a local variable is declared inside a block or a function. So if I have function, and let's call it CIY underscore local variable, and in this variable, just declare a function, a variable using var. This is called my local variable equals hello world, and it with semicolon. Next line there. All right, so now I want to call this one, and remember we have this one here. So we're gonna use this case. We're gonna use document.getElement by ID because I want to use this paragraph tag up here, and that has an ID of demo. So we need to call this one here. So let's put in document dot get element by ID and demo, which was the ID, then an inner HTML equals, and then the name of the variable. So in this case, it's my underscore local variable. That's that, right? And then let's call this function as well. So just CIY underscore local underscore variable like this, and semicolon at the end. Hit save, and as you can see, it comes up here, hello world, because it's calling this one up here, hello world. So that's a local. So see here, it's declared inside inside this function. Let's take a look at the global scope. So comment global variables, and for a global variable, we can call that one outside the function. So we can declare the variable outside the function. So first let's declare it. So var my global variable, like this, and this one's equals goodbye this time. So we separate them a little, and a colon at the end, and now let's create a function. So let's do a function, and let's call it CIY underscore global underscore variable. Okay, and then do the same here. A document dot get element by ID. Document dot get element by ID, and we're gonna call the same. We're gonna call it ID demo. Oops, and then an inner HTML equals the variable we created here. So my underscore global underscore variable, like this. So what we need to do now is we need to call this function CIY underscore global underscore variable and semicolon at the end, and let's hit save. Right, now we get a goodbye up here. All right, so that's a global as it calls this one now. So that's a real quick example on how to use variables in JavaScript. All right, so the next one we're gonna look at is PHP. So I have created a file, just call it home.php and hello world. And I also, let's open up that one. Let's see, I get a local host /CIY PHP home right here. All right, so you can see the hello world. All right, so let's take a look at some quick examples here as well. All right, so again, for valid variables, we have the comment valid variables, and let's make it maybe a PHP tag. Let's open up that, and then a comment there. Yes. Okay, so valid variables. All right. So again, you can start with. You need to be started with a $sign in PHP, and then the name of the variable. So a variable can be yeah, it's a case sensitive, so A to Z or A to Z, not capitalized. So if you have greeting and equals hello world, you can use single quotes or double quotes. And in PHP, you have to end every line with a semicolon, or every variable with semicolon. Next, let's jump down here to yeah, let's another example. So greeting with the capitalized G. So this is a different it's a different variable. Hello again. And then you can also start with an underscore. So a $sign and then underscore. Greeting. Let's do hello one more time. You can also start, you can't start with a number, but if you have underscore like this and then a number, it's fine. All right, so if you want to give your variables numbers, you have to start with either a letter or an underscore. All right, so we got hello with numbers, I guess, like this. All right, so how to call these variables? So in PHP, we can use the command echo and then the name of the variable. So in this case, we have greeting. All right, and then let's try this. So let's save, and then let's move on here, and let's go back here to the front page, and let's hit save. We got hello world. All right, because that's the greeting here, hello world. All right, and as I told you, greeting with a capitalized letter, that's a different variable. So if we do greeting, hit save, we should get another, yeah, if we hit refresh on our front side page, hello again. And if we call the $, like this, hit save and refresh, hello one more time. And if we again want to call a variable with a number, you have to use underscore or another letter. So let's refresh there. All right, so hello with numbers. Okay, so that's how you call a variable. Okay, and for PHP, the invalid variables. So again, you can't start with a number. So maybe let's do comment there, invalid variables. Okay, so you can't start with a number like this. It will throw an error. So what year is it? Or you can't start with another character than a letter or an underscore. So if I start with a percentage and hello, and do a hello world, and semicolon at the end. So if I call these using echo and do 2019 like this, hit save, and if I refresh, I should get an error, syntax error, right? So unexpected, 2019 expected variable. All right, and it will give you examples here. So so I can't use 2019. All right, and also same if I comment this one out, and instead of 2019, I call percentage hello, hit save, and refresh. We get the same syntax error. So this one percentage sign should not be there. All right, so that's invalid ways to set up your or declare your variables in PHP. All right, so PHP has also a global and a local variables. It also has a static variable. So a static variable you can recall many times. Good. Okay, we're not gonna go through that much here. So let's move on and let's have a look at Python as well. How to call. So let's close this one down there, and let's take a look at Python. The good thing with Python is that it's quite simple to use. It's a very popular language among beginners because it's very readable. All right, so you don't need to do anything before you declare a variable, just the variable name, and then you can use the value. All right, so for example, if you have a variable called greeting, and then declare a value, just do hello world. That's it. You don't need semicolons or anything. Just bump on down to the next line. And if you want to print it, just print and then the name of the variable like this. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So if you want to output this, VS Code has a terminal built in. So let's open up the terminal. Let's see, I should have the terminal somewhere. Here we go. All right, so new terminal there. This one there. So, and in order to call it in the terminal, just write the command Python, and then the name of the file, which is intro.py. Hit enter, and you can see that it prints hello world. Okay, and the good thing with Python, you can declare a value, or sorry, a variable again. So here we have greeting, but if I declare it again, greeting equals hello world, and then let's print again, print greeting, and hit save, and then down here in the terminal, let's just call it again, enter. All right, so we get a hello world. If I change this one, so we get something different. Goodbye. Hit save, and down in terminal, write down intro.py. All right, so you get two different values from the same variable. Okay, you can do that in Python. So that's that. You can declare many variables at the same time. Right, so you could use something like this, x. So this is one variable. Then you have y. That's another variable. Then you got the name. That's a variable. Is cool. Right. You got that's another variable. Then equal. And if you have several variables in one, you need a parenthesis. And then x, that's y. Then sorry, and 1 is x, sorry, and then y is for example 2, and then name, I'm gonna put in string, John, and then is cool equals true, that's an integer, and that's all you need to do. Now we're gonna print this, just type print, then the names of the variables, x, y, name, and is score cool, like this. Hit save, and if I go down here to terminal, hit Python intro.py, and then you got them down here, right? So 1, 2, John, true. All right, so that's how you do that in Python. And again, they do have the same naming convention in Python. Same rules. So must start with a letter or underscore. Can't start with a number. And they are case sensitive. Okay. And also, one other thing you need to know is that they can also be global or local, which I have talked about. So it works same way. Okay, so that's an overview of variables. So I hope this helped, and I hope I can put out some more videos about other fundamentals in programming. But that's it for now. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next.